Well, morning, guys. Why, you expect me to be a miserable, sorry son of a sea dog? Probably. 2:57 in the morning. It is Friday. It is November 5th, 2021. My God, he's in a sing-song mood. Run! Yeah, I've been responding to social media. To a few things that have been driving me crazy a little bit. And they're going to sound weird as hell. Trump does not die, does not fade away, wants his name to live on forever in infamy. But he's already got that by scaring the living crap out of everybody else at the same damn time. Meanwhile, well, that's happening in politics. For some of us who like Star Trek and try to get into it even as kids, there are certain things or certain ways I don't think I can quite understand and quite enjoy something. Take your pick which one I'm going to be talking about first. Well, the previous may be a little bit easier, but I'm going to be talking about Star Trek first before I move into the sour grapes. Within the past few weeks, we've had a new Star Trek show pop out that's supposed to be made for kids, made under Nickelodeon. But Paramount's blessing, and the writers have been trying to be creative with their characters and their storylines. Me, unfortunately, as an adult, I am waiting for the maturity level to kick in because I don't think I got that long to wait in my lifetime. It's one thing when I was watching Star Trek Lower Decks, and I actually saw some of the maturity level in there. I also saw some of the comedy, and I also saw some of the children's aspect of it. They're still trying to show how much of a Star Trek show they were. Now, comparing that to what happened back in the 1970s when we actually did try to produce a Star Trek show in a cartoon format that was actually very mature enough that the kids can understand the adventure and geeky enough for them to geek out on stuff. And at their level of maturity and sophistication back in the 70s, it should have been lasting for over 2 or 3 seasons. It could have just lasted one, but gained a notoriety. There's a lot of books. Right. But still, just watching those episodes, it still gives me a little bit of a geekiness of being a Trekkie. These days, it's a different story altogether because as I've been screaming and yelling my head off about context and about perspective, I'm trying to get into what the level of maturity level is that we're supposed to enjoy a kid's show. Some adults can try to lower themselves for them, and unfortunately, I am not one of those kids. I'm still asking myself about the maturity level these days. I'm watching a science fiction cartoon, Star Trek. It's supposed to have a level. It's supposed to have an expectation of science fiction, scientific adulthood a little bit. And we are dealing with the concept of children, alien planets, trying to survive with the mother captain figure of Captain Janeway supposed to be keeping these young kids alive, supposedly as a mentor. And maybe the most challenging show yet that Star Trek has ever dropped into a black hole and tried to come out of it. For some of us who've actually been jaundiced about how Star Trek was supposed to be all these years and all these decades, how it was presented to them. Seeing this level of it trying to reach the younger. I know it's a stretch. It's a stretch of the imagination. It's also a stretch of whatever it hasn't been stretched out yet. Maybe our believability muscles are still trying to gain flexibility at this point. I know mine has. When I watched the last 3 episodes of it, I'm seeing kids struggling in a mining complex of this alien dictator. He's trying to find a starship. He's got more secrets than anything else. He becomes more believable in character, even though he is a cartoon, because he has a malevolent threat and a maturity level that I could relate to. And seeing how these kids are yelling and arguing with each other in a damn sandbox, I'm figuring, how the hell is a damn hologram going to be able to lift these damn kids back into shape, or into a shape of being quote-unquote young cadets? Even the young cadets during those times would have better heads on them. But then again, they'd all be part of the Federation going into Starfleet. And the concept of Star Trek Prodigy is basically kids not familiar with anything of Starfleet or Star Trek, or sorry, of Federation of Planets or any other technological thing like that, except they know their own tech. They've heard of whispers. And they may be either part of the distant part of the galaxy or maybe somewhere else in the universe. So now we have the Federation in the form of a ship, a hologram, trying to pull alien kids together to form a cohesive or a functioning unit that may survive at the end of the season if they're lucky enough. Is this considered a very mature way of growing through Star Trek? I don't know. And the thing of it is, originally when I saw this damn thing, I'm like, pull the plug. Without even giving it a benefit of the doubt, just pull the damn plug and just let it drain away. Just go with it. Because there's no maturity level that an adult can actually comprehend or lock into. However, where's my maturity level in that thinking anyway? Where's my open mind for that? Where's my geek? Where's my tricky? Even Star Trek is supposed to be, the original Star Trek is supposed to be open-minded. But constantly we're dealing with adulthood all throughout the series. Everywhere in the series there's been adults who have been somewhat familiar with Earth and the Federation, or even just beginning in it. The show that they had called Enterprise and then switched over to Star Trek Enterprise was supposed to be the start of Earth leaving the solar system, exploring the universe, somehow forming the United Federation of Planets. And because of ratings and God knows what else, bailed out on 4 seasons. But they had a start of trying to educate an illiterate universe into the realm of what the Earth is supposed to be in Star Trek and Starfleet was no functional. When Gene Roddenberry had Star Trek going on, we had already had an established universe. We just had starships going out there, checking things out, and having battles and whatnots and political and diplomatic stuff going on. Decades later, you've got Next Generation doing the same situation, except a few other alien races are added into the Federation, including the Klingons, well, allied with them. And they're still having problems with the Romulans, but not as much. Deep Space Nine comes on. It's supposed to be an outpost in the deep space where everybody comes to that place. It's like Norm's Bar or Cheers. But they are in the center of all the action happening. But what they considered to a Star Trek show was Voyager, when he was out in the Delta Quadrant. And the Voyager and Captain Janeway and the Maquis crew trying to get back home. And exploring space and battling bad guys and spouting out the Federation of Planets dogma. The first order of business with them. But they managed to make it home. 7 seasons. Okay, no problem. And that was it. Until Enterprise came out. Trying to explain at the start of the thing, 4 seasons. But that was it. Nothing else came out except for some of the movies along the way to continue the existence of it. It was interesting when we had Star Trek Discovery coming. And may have been a different interpretation of how Roddenberry's universe was. Technological and everything else, but you gotta take it in perspective and context what we're dealing with, and what his show was, and what Discovery was, what they were dealing with. I know everyone was going crazy over this damn thing for years. They still are. They're not quite sure if Discovery is still an active Star Trek show or not. Second. I've had a lot of fans asking each other, questioning each other, how dare you challenge my own Star Trek version of it? How dare you challenge this, because this is what Gene Roddenberry wanted in the first place. Well, probably did. But somebody else's technological viewpoint and what the aliens looked like was a hell of a lot different than what we'd already been dealing with throughout our series and other movies. We thought that was already been established. We considered it a canon. Or canon, actually. And we also had the books, and we had the comic books, and every other kind of thing that we had that we considered canon. Canon. Right, sure. I discovered that in Star Trek, nothing's canon anymore. Nothing. One second. Canon is what we accept as the continuing timeline. And we've already had multiple timelines in the Star Trek universe, or a multiverse. We might as well start considering it as not one universe, it's a multiverse that we have to deal with. J.J. Abrams introduced us to his version of it. We have the Discovery version of it now. We had Roddenberry's own version of it, the primary. We've got Picard's Advance, which was advancing Roddenberry's. We have the Lower Decks, which is the more advanced years of, I guess, Picard's universe, somewhere in there. But now we've got Prodigy. And I'm looking at this, and I'm trying to think, how the hell is this actually going to fit in? Is this going to be slid in somewhere? Is this the future for everything else? The other thing I've also noticed that the fans have their own versions of Star Trek out there. They've been doing it for over 30 or 40 years, roughly. The fan films are varied. They may lack in technological aspects, in certain aspects of it, but they come up with creativity as much as they can. So I have to give them kudos for that they have their own canon going on. So I'm trying to find a way to accept the dumbed-down kindergarten box version of Star Trek. How it's going to be presented to the kids as showing some of the 5 obnoxious, sorry sons of sea dogs, space dogs, I should say, I've ever had the displeasure of coming across. With a villain that's trying to come across as a real cartoon villain. Trying to be all menacing and stuff like that. Well, I love it that one of the kids in there said, "Wait till my father gets you." This is what Star Trek is coming down to. We'll give it a season and see what happens. And if not, it wasn't nice knowing it. Now, shall we deal with the sour grapes? In the political context we've got going on these days, one guy has been trying to get his sticky fingers into politics for so many years. He's finally got the brass ring, lost the brass ring. He's pissed off about it, now we're trying to get him back again. During his visits, he's been comparing things and notes as in America is similar to Rome, the Roman Empire, how we are so close to Italy. For a man who's totally belligerent and idiotic, and not to mention dumber than anything else I've seen, he may have some of the command of speech, but he sure as hell doesn't have any intelligence to back it up. The Roman Empire did last for centuries. And in order to last for centuries, they had to command and they had to conquer. I'm not using a video game pun on this one either. They had to conquer a great deal and then command. And then do some more conquering. Anybody else who's coming into contact with the Roman Empire and had no idea who the hell these guys are, didn't realize what force they're going to be dealing with for the next centuries, and see whether or not their civilization is going to be lasting long enough for it. Just like every other damn empire we've had growing. Some of them are clashing with each other, and others just outgrew each other, molded into something. History of the world is so convoluted right now, it's not even funny, even when you study it in college. Because it's always changing. I've got professors bringing in new topics, new theories of how the world was because of different aspects and different changes we have found, or deep research has found, archaeologists have found, to change our concepts constantly at this point. How we're dealing with each other has become quite static. Depending on how we're comparing history to our current level of history right now. How does a former president, I hate using that word, but the guy was elected into office. I don't even know how the hell he got in office in the first place. But he claimed everybody else cheated. He lost his election because everyone cheated. And he never cheats. Give me a break. Give me a break on that one. The remarks concerning about the ancient Rome does concern me a bit. Italy and America, we only discovered each other well past the Roman Empire, when the empire was dying out to the max. It had already split itself apart a long time. Then one portion decided to survive as much as it could and to conquer territories, while the other just faded out over time. We didn't have the conquering armies of the Roman Empire to go after everybody else. Countries were already establishing their own armies, boundaries, and territories. And Trump doesn't bother to read or learn or anything. No. Not him. I should not pay heed. I should not have given him heed to what he has been describing to the people about what things in life are supposed to be. If he wants the glory of the empire to come back, then he's more crazy than I thought. In order to have that kind of empire that he wants maliciousness, he wants cruelty, he wants viciousness, he wants violence. He wants the sovereignty of just a few rulers or a few people that control everybody else. The one he likes all the damn butchers and bullies we've got in this day and age. He loves them too damn much. He has no concept of what being an American is, or patriotism, or how much the immigrants still coming into the country value the old spirit of the American. Well, we keep forgetting about it constantly. Here's the thing that makes it ugly and sour grapes at this point over here, if I haven't been mentioning something about it in the first place. We have immigrants coming in here constantly. And we keep thinking that America cannot handle the influx. Probably that's correct. But while we have our own citizens keep thinking that the native born here are the true Americans, I must remind these people that we are all relatives to the past that came over here looking for either fame, fortune, freedom, something to do, someone to escape, government systems to evade. We were all looking for something. Of course, if you're coming from Europe, you have that manifest destiny happening. You must conquer. And the countryside had already been conquered by Native Americans who were here centuries earlier, not to mention the Vikings as well. Now we're getting historical accounts of Vikings actually visiting portions of America. East Coast. I haven't seen anything about the West Coast, but the East Coast, yes. And leaving the marks behind, telling us that the Europeans that we thought visited us probably weren't the first ones. But they still had to deal with the Native Americans anyway who crossed over land bridges and ice bridges and probably treacherous Arctic waters to get to this place. Mankind spreading. Not the European doctrine, just mankind spreading. People keep forgetting this. I always keep forgetting this. But the Europeans are so hot and intent, at least the ancient Europeans, of manifest destiny that has been put into our own genetic markers for America. And what pisses people off is that, as I am noticing more and more, as I'm learning more and more, the European descent have more and more of the arrogance built into them that we claim this for our own and nobody else will have it. We alone will control. We alone will own and dominate it. America is ours. It is our conquered fealty. And anybody's coming over here, second-class citizens or third-class, unless you've been born in the country, you're not a true American. That's the attitude we're developing. Or, I'm sorry, that's the attitude we've been developing for decades, for generations, for centuries. Courtesy of Europe. Because they also had that same damn attitude as well. Not to mention every other damn conquering empire out there. It's historical fact. Hysterical as it is. But this is the sour grapes. Not about a science fiction story that cannot keep its adulthood going. It'll be surviving soon, maybe. Or just washed up on the cutting board and just be barely survivable. But no, we still got to deal with the reality check of a person with a megalomania that people still believe in. And he's still God. And they believe in him so damn much, they're willing to commit suicide over this guy. Political suicide, actually. They want to become just like him, so they want to run their own way. Instead of doing things good for the country and for the people, they do it for the good of themselves. And we're so enthralled over this. Our own mantra for America is it's for us only. It's for the me only. It's not for you. It's not for us. It's for me. The individual rights, the individual freedoms, the individuality in America. Not the collective good, not the common good, not for the common welfare. Not this generation, not this century. Because we've also demonstrated how selfish and self-conscious we are. How's that for a morning for you? Wake up to this one and learn about this damn thing. Pissed off enough? Good. You gonna have a better Friday? Probably not. Too bad. Too bad. You probably won't even understand why I said that in the first place. Maybe I don't know why I smile. Maybe I'm treasonous to the bone concerning about how this country should be run, because everyone else has got their own damn opinions and they're running over everybody else, shoving things in everyone else's face, saying this is how it should be, this is how I think it should be. America falling to pieces, and we still can't find ways to blow the damn thing back up again. No wonder we should have been considered America's empire, or America's imperial empire. Maybe we are collapsing in front of our feet and we don't even realize it. Does it piss you off enough? I hope so. Does it mean I'm a dirty, rotten traitor? Gee, I've been called a hell of a lot worse than that. But the thing of it is, if I did talk about things like this, I would not be American. I would not have still the ancestors and the blood of my own ancestors in my blood, in my genetic line. I would not tell people about my own thoughts and feelings about this country. Do I love America? Whose version? Whose edition? Whose idealism of America? My own? Or what the common good was supposed to be in the first place? What was presented to us? What was indoctrinated into us all the damn time? Because if that's the case, we've lost it a long time ago. All those nice, good, lovely intentions and words washed out because we can't get our act together one way or another. So whose version of America am I supposed to be celebrating? My ancestors? My ancestors are having a hell of a time with the country, being deep in debt, having class issues, having slavery issues at that point. Not to mention other states having their own individual personality conflicts left and right. Manifest destiny going on. Not to mention Indians get rounded up and put into concentration camps. We call it reservations. Yeah, I got a problem with that. I may not have a drop of Native American blood in me, that's fine. But I know incarceration when I've seen it. They made do as much as they could. I've also seen incarceration happening in the 40s. The pictures and the stories of it, and heard people talking about it. Again, it still pisses me off because this is America. So which particular version are we talking about? You said, hell out of me. Because we lost America a long time ago. We lost it. We don't know how to get it back. We don't even know what the hell it was anymore. We lost all our good feelings and thoughts and ideas and the idealisms. We're clouded and confused and we're deluded. And until we get our act together, until we get our ass together, our brains rewired. I don't know. Maybe the guys like Putin have it right. Piss you off enough for me to say that to you? That I'm a dirty, rotten traitor to the United States of America? I'm going to ask him, whose version of it? My own ancestors? They wanted a nice, quiet place a long time ago, and we couldn't have that. England had to step up with their damn wants and needs out of our own damn colony system over here. That we had to rebel. They weren't listening to us, so we had to pop them in the nose and continued on. We had to fight. We had to fight for our quote-unquote semblance of freedom in a country that didn't know its ass by hot rock. So here we come. Of course, during that time, we've also had slaves up and down. Some people didn't like the slave ideas. I'm not quite sure how my ancestors felt. Because there's no way for me to verify this shit in the first place. But if I had, it would have been appreciated to understand if my particular line had been either plantation owners, slave owners, abolitionists. Maybe they were Tories, and I didn't even realize it. That would have been something about history that would make me more interested in how my family was all the way back then. So I have something to compare it all the way about right now. I'm not going to follow someone else's guidelines. I'm not going to follow someone else's invasion or fantasy. I'll go to hell in that one. All I know is what I'm seeing these days. It scares the hell out of me. For that, I'll just let you stew on this while I try to attain some semblance of sleep.